Hi and welcome to episode 45 of China Tools, a series of videos where I put woodworking tools from China to the test. And in this video, two exciting products, the WNEW router fence and this Enjoywood router lift. And what those two products have in common is that they look fantastic. The fit and finish are very nice and they also have a very interesting price point. So let's see if they can also impress in practice. Hi again, my name is Dennis and I am from Hooked on Wood. And I want to start with this WNEW router fence. Packaging was a real issue when I started these videos about China Tools 3 years ago. And that is why I integrated the packaging in my reviews. Nowadays, most tools are carefully packed and the WNEW router fence is no exception. This thing should arrive without damage to your front door. And that is great because this thing looks incredible when you finally be able to see it. And I will not say this is a cheap fence because around $180 is serious money. But I can say you do get a very complete fence with lots of accessories. And last year I reviewed this WNEW fence and there's only one reason to opt for this fence, and that is if you need a dust extraction at the site. Because on all other parts I consider this fence an improvement. So let us take a closer look. Those who follow my channel know I want to test products by using them. So I had to make a router table for these two products first. So I made something from leftover wood, and because of that I had to make the top from two parts. And that was sort of lucky because this way I could make the groove to place the two bars included with the router fence easy. And the two aluminum bars are 30 cm long and should start at the middle of the router bit. And I later discovered that the router bit's middle is not the router lift's middle, so the scale on the bar will not be correct. And you will not be able to adjust the scale. It is printed on the bars. That said, I think there are far more easier and more accurate ways to set up your fence, so it would not bother it too much. But a scale you could adjust a bit would be more forgiving. At the front we see two pieces of composite material that you can slide aside, so there's room for the router bit and dust extraction. And it is possible to adjust the front angle to get it straight with the router table. And I really like the composite material and the sloped edge that prevent your workpiece from getting stuck. You can lock your fence by tightening these two wheels when you have placed it in the correct position. And this is very straightforward and looks and feels good when tightening. The wheels are made from aluminum, but the enclosure is plastic. Still, it does not look cheap to me. And adding the fence to the aluminum bars goes very straightforward. And you can slide it into the miter track or do it this way. And further we find the dust extraction port at the back. And the back gives a clear and organized look. And there are several adapters included for dust extraction. And my racket power hose fitted without an adapter. And for my vessel hose I needed an adapter. But it's good that they include a few of them. And as usual, this is a quick reminder that you can find a ranking among all products I tested on my website www.hookedonwood.online. But I also recently redesigned it, so finding the topics and downloads is clearer. I hope I can welcome you to my site soon. And the dust extraction is pretty good, as long as you cut the edge of your workpiece. And of course the router bit size, the router insert and the amount of material you want to remove do influence this. But on average I think it extracts 85% of the dust above the table and 50% still falls on the floor. And of course dust extraction in the fence will not help when you want to make a groove. For this you need dust extraction on the underside of the table, as I have with my main router. At the front we also have an integrated T-track. And with the WNEW router fence I reviewed last year, this was an option and you needed to add it on top of it. So not only is this a far more decent solution, but it is also included in the price. And here you can place some hold down accessories like the Jessam clear cut stock guide. Also included are 2 stop blocks, and these stop blocks are not the nicest I have seen from Banggood, but they are very sturdy. They have a very big arm and can perfectly handle some force without bending or moving. They are adjustable to the scale at the top of the router fence. And this scale is other than the scale in the 2 aluminum bars in the router table adjustable. Or more accurately, you can slide it to the left and to the right. But you must realize that when you move your fence, nothing holds it straight. So even if you carefully set up your scale and stop blocks, when you move your fence, you can basically start over again. So although I like the stop blocks, and you will appreciate how sturdy they are, the adjustment possibilities are not that relevant when you ask me. As discussed earlier in the video, more efficient and precise methods exist to set up your fence. And I prefer using my combination square with this type of router fence. And here I set up the fence to make a groove 10 mm wide, which is a quick and accurate process. Similarly, if you want to set up your stop block to the correct position, using your combination square is the easiest and most straightforward approach. And this way you can ensure that your measurements are precise and accurate. 2 micro adjusters are also available when you have to fine-tune the fence settings. And these 2 items are the only items that tells me that it is more of an affordable fence. Compared to the fence I tested last year, it is an improvement, at least by how you can attach it to the fence, but still they are less sophisticated than the high-end models. But of course, this fence does not have a high-end price, so that is understandable. And finally, you have a protective hood for the router, but it can also provide better extraction by making the dust extraction port smaller. So in the end, I'm very enthusiastic about this fence. And understand me correctly here, it does not have the overall quality, fit and finish of a high-end model. But it will also not be fair to compare it with those models, because those models cost at least 3 times the price. However, I think the base is on par with those high-end models. So the only differences are the accessories like the stop blocks and micro adjusters. That works, but are more basic and less sophisticated than the high-end models. But for around $180, you get a lot of router fans for the money. And one way or the other, because it's so lovely, it also gives me that proud of ownership feeling I usually get with high-end models. And I always do a little research to get the price in the right perspective, because it's greatly influenced my score. But based on that, I think you cannot go wrong with this fence. And this is my scoring card. You have to attach your fence to your router table. And when you have a router table, a router lift is so convenient. So let's dive into this Enjoywood router lift. And as with the fence, the packaging is entirely under control, and I cannot imagine shipment damage with this item. And when I saw it the first time, I was impressed by its looks and weight. But it is a bit of a strange router lift. And what I mean by that is that it is small and only made for your handheld router. So a bigger router just will not fit. So if I had to describe my thoughts when I first saw it, it seemed like a kind of small high-end router lift. And that makes it somewhat of a rare product. But I remember from the beginning of my woodworking journey that I searched for a product like this, but could not find it back then. My MAKITA was my only router, and I ended up with an insert plate to which I could easily attach the router. So back then, this was definitely something I was looking for. And this Enjoywood router lift comes with a template that should make mounting the lift easy. And I soon discovered that the template did not fit how I would prefer it. There was some play of around 5 mm on all sides. And for a moment I thought of making a template myself that would fit perfectly, but I decided to not do that so I could show the end product and discover how big of a problem this would be. And when you place your router lift, your top must be at least 80 mm. When you later want to add the router lift, you need this thickness to adjust it properly. But I think 20 to 25 mm would be perfect. And I told you earlier that I needed to make a router table with some leftover wood. So place some 12mm plywood to strengthen the construction, especially for the bars for the router fence. Then you screw this router lift in place, and I think this is one of the most straightforward methods. And this also counts for how you can level the lift to the top of your router table. I definitely prefer this way over the way I have to insert and level my Jessen router lift. And I think this system is way more sturdy and accurate. And because of this, it is not a problem that the template was a bit bigger. It will perfectly stay in place. But from a cosmetic point of view, the seams could have been a little bit narrower. If you only have a handheld router like the MAKITA or the DEWALT and you want to keep it that way, it is essential that you can place and remove the router relatively easily. And when you have access to the underside of the router lift, adding your router goes very straightforward. And in the case of my MAKITA, it fitted perfectly and I could easily operate it and change the speed dial. And also it was easy to switch batteries when necessary. So far installing was pretty straightforward. And I think with the red scale it looks impressive. And it comes with 3 different size steel inserts, which is very refreshing. It is a so much more sophisticated solution than plastic inserts. It's easier to change them because plastic inserts use friction and these use magnets. But it is also possible to level them with the router lift plates. So a very high-end feature. The router lift runs very smoothly and you can quickly lift your router bit. But it also runs as easy with 1/10 of a millimeter steps. And the red dial is very accurate and every turn represents 1.5 millimeter. And I prefer a different method to set up the height of the drill bit. But if you want to change it a bit, you have some reference to how far you move it up or down. But I was surprised at how accurate this worked. You see there's no dial to lock the lift in its place. And we also saw this with the bigger WNEW router lift I tested last year, which worked perfectly. And with 2 screws at both sides you can adjust the resistance to find the sweet spot so it will stay in place and still move smoothly. And I did some tests with solid oak that represents 5 meters of edge trimming, and after this I did not measure a noticeable difference in height setting. So it seems this method worked great. This product is so far the most challenging product for me to summarize. Not as a product on its own, because it is what it looks like. A small, high quality router lift for your handheld router. And for $150 you will not get a comparable router lift. Because besides from some cheap alternatives there is little available. You could add a handheld router in a Jessen master lift, but you will need a lot of time to place it and remove it, and placing a lightweight router in a heavy router lift does not make sense. So for who is this router lift? Because if you can only add a handheld router, the work you can do on your router table is also limited to what you can do with a handheld router. And as I told you before, at the beginning of my woodworker journey and only having one handheld MAKITA router, this was the product I was looking for. And a MAKITA or the DEWALT handheld router is pretty solid and capable of doing much more than essential router work and edge trimming only. So for that group of woodworkers, this is an excellent product. And I have to say that I love the combination of this fence and router lift. So as an additional router table for some light work, it can be very convenient, and I'm pretty sure you will see this somewhere in my workshop in the future. And because most of us that even think of an extra router table will probably have a handheld router, this is the most affordable way to get a secondary high quality router lift. So I'm curious about where you want to use it for. Let me know in the comments. And to be honest, I can only be very positive about what this router lift showed me while testing it. And in some cases it even surprised me what they could deliver for the money. And besides the limited bandwidth in which you can use this router lift, I found only 2 drawbacks that could have been better. And firstly is the template that comes with it. It is too large. However, the biggest drawback for me was its stretch resistance. And I made several test cuts, and yes, not always with the cleanest wood, but I found that after a few days of use, there were stretches on the lift that should not be this noticeable. And as a result, I could not give it the full 5-star rating. And this is my scoring card. Well, that was already the end of this China tool episode. And I enjoyed making this one because it already was some time ago I made my last China tool video. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a great day and well, we see each other next time.